Okay, so we're continuing on today in our notebook with multiplying and dividing of radicals. So that should be slides 87, 88, 89, and 90. If you don't see them in that location, you may have to just look for the titles multiplying and dividing, update them, and move those into the position of 88 through 90. So let's go ahead and look at our Math Interactive notebook, paper version. So we have Unit 1. Multiplication of radicals, it's going to be slide 87 and 88. My notebook, that's going to be on page 19. And then division of radicals, slides 89 and 90. And in my notebook, that's going to be on page 20. Give you a minute real quick to write those into your TOC. Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to write these on regular paper. So I'm going to put that to the side. So for me, this is page 19. And this is multiplication of radicals. We're going to have our step or our rule over here. Start with step number 1. So step number 1 is going to be to simplify the radicals. Leave inside as factors. And what I just mean by that is that after we simplify it, instead of multiplying what's left inside back together, we're going to leave that as its prime factorization, because that's going to help us when we actually go to multiply the two radicals together. So step number 2 is to multiply outside numbers together. And so what I mean by that is if you have an outside number in the, for each radical, they're all going to come together and be multiplied together. Step 3. Combine inside. Listen to my dog, Thena. Thena, shh. Factors. And remove any new sets. So we're going to be looking at the inside factors that were left over from the radicals we're multiplying together. And so now if there's a new set, we can remove that set. Step 4, we're going to multiply outside numbers and multiply remaining inside numbers. And after those steps, then we will have our answer. Okay, so what does that look like? Well, if we have 2 radical 3 times radical 6, this is where I simplified as can be. 3 doesn't have any sets of factor pairs that are going to come out. So it's going to be just still 2 radical 3. And for radical 6, same thing. Nothing's going to come out. So that's going to remain the same, but actually I'm going to mark this as 2 times 3 because that's what the prime factorization of 6 is. Okay, now we want to multiply outside numbers. So 2 times 1, because remember, if we don't see a number in front of the radical, it's actually 1. And that's going to equal 2. Combine inside factors. So we have a radical 3, and then we have a radical 2 times 3. So if I combine these, I'm going to have a new set of 3's that can come out, leaving me with 3 radical 2. So now I have the 2 from up here times 3 radical 2. And if I multiply the outside numbers together, I'm going to get 6. And there's no other factor inside but 2, so that just comes down. And 6 radical 2 is my answer. Let's look at another example. And let's do the darker blue. We're going to have 3 radical 6 times 2 radical 54. So again, 6, nothing's going to be able to come out, but its prime factorization is 2 times 3. And for 54, 54 is actually 9 times 6, and the square root of 9 is 3. And if 3 is going to come out, leaving me with 6 inside, or keep on doing that, 2 times 3. So I'm going to have 3 times 2 times 3 times 6 times 2 times 3. So outside numbers 3 times 6 is going to give me 18. Inside numbers, I have a 2 times a 3 and a 2 times a 3. So the 2's are going to match and the 3's are going to match. So they will go ahead and come out. So 2 times 3 is going to give me 6. And I'm left with 18 times 6. I don't have anything left inside because these made sets, clearing out the inside of the radical. So my answer, 18 times 6, 108. A couple things that we want to remember. Any radical times itself. So if I have radical 3 times radical 3, right? If I combine that together, that would be 3 times 3. In other words, I have a set that's going to be able to come out and just be radical 3. Okay. Another way to look at that is that would have been equal to 9 because inside times inside, and the square root of 9 is 3. So it's important to remember that all the same kind of things apply with radicals as what you see outside of radicals. And you're really just figuring out the prime factorization and then multiplying inside times inside and outside times outside. But then just checking that inside to see if now have you made a new set and can it come out. So that is how we multiply radicals.